Hi guys, this is Sadek from Drawbacks.com, and in this video, we'll show you 4 methods through which you could boot any Android phone to EDL mode. We will be discussing both the bricked as well as unbricked Android phones to boot your phone to EDL mode. Now, EDL stands for Emergency Download Mode and is only applicable across those phones which comes with a Qualcomm chipset. Yes, EDL mode is only for Qualcomm devices. If your phone has a MTK, MediaTek or any other chipset, it will not work. Moreover, while the EDL mode is accessible across all the phones, the tool which is used to flash the unbrick firmware might not be easily available for all the phones. For example, in case of Xiaomi, you cannot access the tool. You will have to get the firehose.mbn file, which is now paid, and you would only could access using a Xiaomi authorized account. Only in my opinion, only in till the OnePlus 9 series, you could easily access the tool to flash the MSM. MSM tool is the name using which you flash the OPS unbrick firmware or any other OEM. You might have to get in touch with the service center employees to get the job done, but booting to EDL mode, you could easily do that from your home itself. But the flashing part is difficult. For flashing, you might have to take the help of a service center employees, except for the OnePlus phone. Till the OnePlus 9 series, you could easily flash it using the MSM tool. For all the other OEMs, you might have to get in touch with some authorized service center employees. With that said, when it comes to a brick Android phones, then booting to EDL mode is quite simple. You just have to boot to EDL mode to flash the unbrick firmware. In case of unbricked phone, why you want to boot to EDL mode? Well, in my case, I usually boot my phone to EDL mode even if it is unbrick to flash the stock firmware. If I want to go back from the custom to stock ROM, or if I want to do a downgrade. In all these cases, I still use the EDL mode to flash the firmware because it's quite easy as opposed to other methods such as using the Fastboot enhanced tool or the official firmware package. I usually use the EDL mode. So with that said, there exist 4 methods that I'll be showing. The 4 methods are using the ADB command, which is only accessible if your phone is currently in a working state. Then is the Fastboot command, which could be accessed if your phone is in a semi-brick state. For example, if it's in a bootloop or a softbrick state. Then comes the Magisk method. It's also only applicable if your phone is currently in a working state. Then is the hardware key combination. This could be easily used even if your phone is completely hard break and you cannot access the OS. So I will now discuss all these 4 methods. So with that in mind, let's get started. The first method is using the ADB command. So for that, as far as the booting to EDL mode is concerned, I would recommend you to download the Android SDK platform tools. This is the official ADB binary given by Google and is required to execute ADB command. So download it from the link given in my guide and extract them onto your PC. You could extract them anywhere you want. I have done the extraction on eDrive, as you could see. These are the files of the platform tools. So extract them onto your PC. Once that is done, your next course of action is to install the USB drivers as well. Here's the Qualcomm QDLoader HS-USB drivers. So make sure to install from this guide. I've made a separate guide on the same. You could refer to my guide and install this. Once you have installed this, your phone will then be shown as Qualcomm HS-USB QDLoader in the device manager. So please install these drivers as well. I have already done the installation. I made a separate guide on this as well. So let me once show you my guide on how to install these drivers. So just a minute. You could refer to my separate guide as well. And this is the guide on how you could install the EDL drivers on Windows 11. And once you have installed the drivers, your phone will then be booted to the EDL mode and it will then be shown as Qualcomm HS-USB QDLoader. I made a guide and you could refer to this guide on how this could be done. So make sure to install these Qualcomm EDL drivers and download the platform tools on your PC. Once you have checkmarked both this requirement, let's now get started. I will recommend you to use the USB 2.0 port on your PC instead of the 3.0 port, and also if possible, please use the official USB cable. Before that, I will recommend you to open the EDL or the unbrick tool. As soon as your phone boots to EDL mode, the tool starts flashing the firmware. Most of the users, what they do is they first boot their phone to EDL mode and then they launch the tool to unbrick their firmware. But I will recommend you to first set up the tool and keep it running and then boot your phone to EDL mode. Just for the sake of reference, if we take the example of MSM tool, so here is the MSM tool. Let me show you. So MSM tool is for the OnePlus 70 currently I'm using. So as you could see, my phone is not in the OS. My phone is in the OS. It's not in the EDL mode. But still, I will recommend you to launch the EDL mode, the EDL tool, which in OnePlus is the MSM tool. So launch the tool, set it up, and make sure that it's running in the backend, so that as soon as the phone is in the EDL mode, the flashing will start automatically. So let me first show you. So it's now launching. It's just for the OnePlus. For other OEMs, you might have a separate tool. So make sure to launch the tool, and as of now, as you could see, it's not identifying the device because our phone is not in the EDL mode. That's not an issue. Simply hit the start button, and as you could see, currently it's waiting for device, and as soon as it identifies the phone in EDL mode, it will automatically start flashing. So I would recommend you to keep the tool up and running and then boot your phone to EDL mode. As of now, I'm closing this tool because I want to show you all the four methods, and I will show the flashing at the end. If I show flashing with all the four methods, it will take quite a lot of time. So I will first show you how to boot to EDL mode using all the four methods, and then in the end, I'll show you how to flash as well. But I will recommend you to keep the tool up and running in the backend after you have checked the requirement of the platform tools as well as the EDL drivers, which by the way also requires you to disable driver technical enforcement. Make sure to do so as well. It's compulsory. So carry out this task as well and then install the EDL drivers. So on that note, make sure that the tool is running in the backend. And now let's get started. First off, you have to using the EDL mode is via the ADB command. As you might have been known, this method is only applicable if you could access the OS. In other words, if your phone is currently unbricked. So with that said, your first course of action is to enable USB debugging on your phone. So go to the settings menu, then go to about phone and tap on build number 7 times. In case of Xiaomi, it will be MIUI version. Now go back, go to system. You should now see developer option. Go there and enable the toggle next to USB debugging. Now tap on OK and you might get an RSA key fingerprint prompt. In that case, tap on allow. With this, debugging is now enabled. Once that is done, now go to the platform tools folder address bar. Type in CMD in its address bar and hit enter. It will now launch the CMD window inside platform tools folder. Now type in ADB devices and hit enter and make sure that you are getting a serial ID. If you are not getting any ID, then unplug and replug your phone from the PC, disable and re-enable USB debugging, and most importantly, when it comes to EDL mode, it is highly recommended that you use the USB 2.0 port on your PC and do not use the USB 3.0 port if possible. Likewise, please use the official cable that came with your phone and not any third-party cable. So for instance, if you are using a OnePlus phone, it's recommended to use a OnePlus cable, but if you don't have a OnePlus cable, then at least use a cable which came with any other phones such as Pixel or Samsung or Xiaomi, but don't use third-party unofficial cable because they don't support EDL mode. So with that said, our phone is now in the ADB mode and now we could execute the ADB command to boot our phone to the EDL mode. For that, you just have to use the command ADB reboot EDL and make sure that the firmware is running in the backend. So in my case, my phone is OnePlus, so my tool will be MSM tool. So make sure that the MSM tool is running in the backend, and as soon as the phone boots to EDL mode, the flashing will start. As I've told you before, I have closed the MSM tool in my case because I don't want to flash it now. I will flash in the end. So with that said, still let me show you. I've opened the device manager as well to signify the EDL mode connection. Your phone should be listed as Qualcomm HS-USB QDLoader 9008. The COM port is the USB port that could vary, but you should be getting this as keyword under device manager port section, which signifies that your phone is in the EDL mode. So let's now verify the same. So my phone is now in the OS. Let me now type in ADB reboot EDL and hit enter, and let me show you my phone will boot to the EDL mode for a few seconds. As you could see, it's the EDL mode and it will verify for the tool, and as of now, since I'm not running any tool, my phone will automatically exit the EDL mode within 5 to 6 seconds and boot to the OS. If in your case the tool is running, then the flashing will start. So as you could see, my phone is now gone from the port section and it's booted to the OS. This is happening just because no MSM tool or no flashing tool is there in the backend. If I had the MSM tool running in the backend, then the flashing would have now started. But since my phone or PC was not able to find any flashing tool, it will wait for 5 seconds and then automatically boot to the OS. So guys, this was the first method through which you could boot your phone to EDL mode. Let me now move on to the next method. The next method is using the Fastboot command. But before that, let me show you one more method. For this method, I have to boot my phone to the. So before that, let's move over to the Magisk method. In this method as well, there are two requirements that you have to check mark. First and foremost, you should be able to boot to the OS. In other words, your phone should be unbricked. And secondly, your phone should be rooted. If your phone is not rooted and you have just installed the Magisk APK, then you will not get the reboot option, as you could see from here. So for instance, I am using a Poco F4 phone. Let me show you. This phone is rooted and this is the Magisk app. If I launch the Magisk app, I just have to tap on the reboot icon here and then select reboot to EDL. With this, my phone will boot to the EDL mode and it will then verify for the flashing firmware tool. If a tool is there in the backend, the flashing will start. If it's not there, then the phone will automatically boot to the OS. So the Magisk and the ADB commands are the two methods which only works if your phone is currently booted to the OS. And these two methods only comes in handy if you are looking to simply flash the stock firmware, you want to go from custom ROM to stock ROM, or you want to do a downgrade. So in those cases, you could use both these methods to boot to the EDL mode. Next up, now comes the method via the Fastboot command. Using this command, you could use this method in case of unbrick phone and also in case your phone is currently in a boot loop or softbrick state. So in case your phone is currently softbrick or a boot loop, it will automatically be in the Fastboot mode. If it's in a boot loop, then you will have to use the hardware key combination to boot to the Fastboot mode. On the other hand, in rare cases, if your phone is currently working well and good, then you could use the ADB reboot bootloader command and hit enter, and your phone should now boot to the Fastboot mode. But if your phone is currently in a boot loop, then you will have to use the hardware key combination to boot to Fastboot mode, or if it's in a softbrick state, then it will automatically be in a Fastboot mode. So currently, as you could see, the device state is showing as logged. This signifies that the bootloader is logged. In most phones, it does not matter if your bootloader is logged or unlogged. You could easily flash the unbrick firmware in a locked bootloader as well. But if possible, I will highly recommend you to unlock the bootloader. So for that, you will first and foremost have to enable the OEM unlocking as well. And OEM unlocking could only be enabled if you could access the OS. If you cannot access the OS, then you will not be able to enable OEM unlocking, and hence you will not be able to unlock the bootloader. In case of OnePlus, that is not a requirement. You could easily unbrick your OnePlus phone even in a locked state as well. So with that said, let's suppose our phone is currently in a Fastboot mode. Now when it comes to Fastboot, there exist three commands using which you could boot to EDL mode. But before that, let's verify the Fastboot connection. So type in Fastboot devices and hit enter, and make sure that your serial ID is shown here. If an ID is not shown here, then you will have to install Fastboot drivers onto your PC. I made a separate guide and a video on the same. You could refer to my guide or the video and make sure to install the Fastboot drivers. Just a minute, let me show you that as well. These are extremely important, so make sure to install these drivers onto your PC. So this is the guide. I have also linked a video on the same. So let me show you. This is my guide and this is the video here. So make sure to install the Fastboot drivers. Once you install the Fastboot drivers, you will get a serial ID. Likewise, under device manager, your phone will now be listed as Android phone. Under that, it should show as Android bootloader interface. This signifies that your phone is now in the Fastboot mode and you could proceed ahead. Now there exist three commands through which you could boot your phone to EDL mode, but on newer phones which was launched with Android 12 or above, I am seeing a strange pattern that none of these three commands are being accepted by the phone. So in some cases, each of these three commands might not work if you are currently in the Fastboot mode, but still I would recommend you to give it a try. In some cases, you might get a warning message, but your phone will still boot to the EDL mode. But in my case, I have tried all these three commands, but it will not boot my phone to EDL mode. Let me show you that as well. Just a minute. So for example, it's showing as unknown command. Let me try the second command as well. So I've already tried on my OnePlus phone. So in my case, this command does not work. all these three commands does not work, but still you should give it a try. However, if all these three commands does not work for you, then there's still one more way out. You will then have to power off your phone and then move over to our fourth method, which involves using the hardware key combination. So just to repeat, first off, try the fastboot mode. But if these three commands does not work in the fastboot mode, then you will have to move over to our fourth method, which is using the hardware key combination. The biggest advantage with this method is that it works even for hardbrick phones. So even if you're not able to access the OS, it's not an issue. The only requirement is that your phone should be powered off. If you cannot power off, then you will have to let the battery drain out and then connect your phone to the USB cable just to charge it for a few seconds. So in my case, as you could see, currently it's in the fastboot mode. So if you are also in the fastboot mode, then simply use the power keys to select, use the volume key to select power off, and then press the power key to confirm. And with this, your phone is now powered off. In most cases, if your phone is in the hardbrick state, then it will automatically be powered off. And one more thing, please unplug your phone from the PC so that it is no longer charging. So as of now, as you could see, my phone is currently powered off completely. So now I will show you how to boot your phone to EDL mode. But before that, as I told you, I will also show you the flashing steps. So what we should do now is open the flashing firmware as well. In case of OnePlus, it's the MSM tool. So let me launch the MSM tool. If you are using the EDL method, the Magisk method, or the Fastboot method, you should also make sure to launch the tool and make it running in the backend so that the tool is up and running. And then you should boot to EDL mode. And as soon as boots to EDL mode, the flashing will now start. So I'm just showing this step in the hardware key combination, but the same steps are applicable across all the four methods. So with that said, let me launch the MSM tool, click on next. And MSM tool is only applicable for OnePlus. For other phone, you will have to use any other tool. So now I will click on start. And as of now, you could see it's waiting for device because my phone is unplugged and it's also not in the EDL mode. So I will now boot my phone to EDL mode and then connect it to PC via USB. As soon as the connection is established, the flashing will automatically start. So let me show you that as well. So for booting to EDL via hardware key combination, the steps are different for different phones. I have listed the steps for a couple of phones. So for instance, in case of Xiaomi, in case of OnePlus, first and foremost, if you are in the Qualcomm crash dump mode, you will have to boot your phone to the, you will have to power off your phone. However, if it's already hardbricked, then it will already be powered off. Once it is turned off, your next course of action is to press the volume up and volume down keys. So press and hold both these keys, and while you are pressing and holding both these keys, you have to plug in your phone to the PC. Let me show you the MSM tool as well. As soon as I plug in my phone to the PC, it will now boot to EDL mode and the flashing will now start. So let me show you the status. It's connected and the flashing has now started. Likewise, in the device manager, let me show you. My phone is now being shown as Qualcomm HS-USB QDLoader, and my phone will not exit the EDL mode now because the flashing has started. In the first step, in the ADV method, as I have shown you, my phone did exit the EDL mode because the MSM tool was not running in the backend. That is why I would recommend you to keep the tool running in the backend and then only boot your phone to EDL mode, because as you could see now, the flashing has now started, and the flashing process, irrespective of the phone, usually takes around 7 to 8 minutes. So while the flashing is going on, let's discuss a few points, important points, or let me summarize this guide in short. So first off, if you have any trouble, I have made a separate guide for OnePlus. So you could refer to my OnePlus guide, and in this OnePlus guide, I have the MSM tool for all the MSM phones up until now. The MSM OnePlus 9 Pro series, we have the MSM tool, and for the Nord series, we have the MSM tool. For OnePlus 10 Pro, there is no MSM tool. You will have to get authorized account. For the OnePlus 11, we have near about managed to hack the tool, and in a matter of few weeks or a month at the very max, we might be having a working MSM tool for the OnePlus 11. I have made a separate guide on that as well. So let me show you my guide on OnePlus 11. The developers have done quite an impressive job and we now don't even need. So let me show you. So this is my article. You could read in depth regarding this article, and as of now you could easily get hold of this article, and I will give you the link in the description. And moreover, you could use any serial ID and any password to sign in, but as of now the person who has hacked is an XDA developer who goes by the name Oppo EDL hacker. But as of now, he has not done the tool open source, because if the tool gets open source, then Oppo will patch the loophole. So as of now, the tool is closed source. The tool will only be available until we have a custom ROM regarding this for the OnePlus 11. The Lineage OS custom ROM is now in the work, and it could take a few weeks or a month, and as soon as we have a Lineage OS, the MSM tool will also be active, and I will then update this guide. For OnePlus 10 Pro, will be no MSM tool due to my knowledge, because there are quite a few complications involved. In OnePlus 11, there is a loophole which we managed to find out. Now, whether it's an actual loophole or Oppo has done this intentionally, that's up for grabs. But as far as we know, we could easily get hold of the MSM tool for the OnePlus 11. So I will update this guide for the rest of the tools, for the rest of the phones of OnePlus 11, OnePlus 1 till OnePlus 9 Pro. You could grab the MSM tool from here, and then also refer to my guide to install the tool. So let me first check the status. As you could see, the flashing is now going on. So in the meantime, the status, let me show you. First off, you have to install the Android SDK platform tools. This is required for all the Android phones. Next up again is the Qualcomm USB drivers, also known as Qualcomm HS-USB QDLoader. This is again required for all the Android phones. Then you will have to disable driver signature enforcement. Again, this is required for all the Android phone. If you don't do so, then Windows will block the installation of the Qualcomm drivers. So you will have to disable driver signature enforcement and then install the Qualcomm drivers as well. And after that, the MSM tool is only applicable for OnePlus phone. For all the other phones, you will have to use the tool which correspond to your phone. And then you will have to boot your phone to EDL mode. So regarding the EDL mode, as I have shown you, there exists 4 methods. So first off, keep in mind that it's only for the Qualcomm phones. In other words, which have a Qualcomm chipset, it is only applicable across all those phones. And regarding this, there exist 4 methods. The ADB method could be used across both the bricked and unbricked phone. Sorry, the ADB method is only applicable in case of unbricked phone, or in other words, when you could access the OS. You just need to execute the command of ADB reboot EDL, as you could see from here, and your phone will then reboot to the EDL. Then we have the Magisk method. Again, this could only be used if you could access the OS and your phone should be rooted as well. You cannot simply install Magisk on a non-rooted OS and then tap on reboot to EDL. You will have to root your phone to OS via Magisk as well. Till Android 12, you could root via Magisk patch image, boot image. From Android 13, you have to use the Magisk patch in it, boot image. I made a guide on that as well. Now comes the third method, which is using the Fastboot mode. In case of Fastboot mode, you could use if your phone is unbricked, or if your phone is semi-bricked, or if it's in a boot loop. But the major issue with this method is, on some phones, all these 3 commands might not work. As I have shown you, in my case, these 3 Fastboot command does not work, but I have seen a few phones in which this command does tend to work. So give it a try. But if all these 3 command does not work, then it's not an issue. Simply use the volume key to highlight the power off option and press the power key to confirm. And as soon as your phone has been powered off, you could then use the hardware key combination. The major benefit of this method is that it is the only method which works if your phone is currently in a brick state. So once your phone is powered off, you will now have to check out the section which correspond to your phone. In case of OnePlus phone, you will have to first and foremost unplug your phone from the PC. Once you have unplugged your phone, make sure to power it off. Then press and hold the volume up and volume down keys. And while holding both this key, plug in your phone to the PC, and then the flashing will now start. Similarly, it's somewhat different in case of EDL mode for Realme and for Xiaomi as well. It's somewhat different. In case of Xiaomi, you might have to get hold of an authorized service center employee account. You might not be able to do so on your own. So with that said, this is a generic step for all the other Android phone. I have linked all this guide in my description. You could refer to my guide to get this job done. So as you could see, the flashing is now complete. Irrespective of the tool that we are using, in most of the tools, as soon as the flashing is complete, your phone will now boot to the OS. But do keep in mind that the first boot up will take up some additional seconds. That's completely normal and nothing to worry about. But your data will also be gone. So make sure to take a backup beforehand if it's possible. If your phone is currently in a semi-bricked or hard-brick state, you will not be able to take any backup. But if you are using the ADB method or the Magisk method, please make sure to take a backup beforehand to save your valuable data. Moreover, before starting any of these 4 methods, I will again recommend you to make sure that the tool is running in the backend. So in case of OnePlus, I was using the MSM tool. So whatever tool you are using, please make sure that the tool is up and running in the backend. You should also start the tool. The tool might show you the warning that the phone is currently not connected. That's not an issue. Just make sure that the tool is up and running, and only after that you should try these 4 steps to boot your phone to the EDL mode. And as soon as your phone is booted to the EDL mode, the tool will automatically start the flashing process. Never ever boot your phone to EDL mode first and then launch the tool, because I have seen quite a lot of issues with that. So always your first course of action should be to set up the tool, and once you have set up the tool, you should only then use these methods to boot to the EDL mode. So I am just waiting to show you. My phone will now boot to the OS in a few seconds, and once that happens, I will then round off this video. As I have told you, I have linked all this guide in the description. With that said, if you still have any queries, you are feel free to reach me in the comment section. And as I have told you in the beginning, booting to EDL mode does not require any authorized account. You could easily boot to EDL mode on your own. However, the flashing of the firmware might require an authorized account. Only in case of OnePlus, it does not require any authorized account till OnePlus 9 Pro, which require MSM tool. You could do so on your own. From the OnePlus 10 series, which requires the Realme Flash tool, you might need an authorized account. Likewise for the Oppo, Realme and Xiaomi phones as well. In fact, for all the other Qualcomm phones, you might need an authorized account, but that is needed to flash the firmware. When it comes to booting to EDL mode, you don't have to pay anyone anything. You could do so on your own. If you still have any issues, do reach out to me in the comment section, but please don't pay anyone anything when it comes to booting to EDL mode, because you could easily do so on your own. And as you could see, my phone is now booted to the OS. So guys, on that note, I round off this video. If you have any queries, do let me know in the comment section, and please like this video and sub to this channel for more tips and tricks. Thanks a lot for watching.